Hey, 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 happy Sunday. Happy Love Day. Hey, Miss Marissa, how are you? Happy Sunday. I am grateful, as always. I am Coach Yolanda, International Spiritual Life Coach, Reiki Master Teacher, Meditation Guide, Birth Doula, and all of those things that say who I am. And I was just having a conversation with a guest that I'm going to bring on soon about the labels, the titles, never really tell the whole story of who we are. And so today we're going to talk about the power of love, and the power of love, whether you believe it or not, is essential to healing, essential to living, essential to every single thing that we do. When we expand our definition of love and look at all things through a lens of love, we will really see what the power of love is. And so today I wanted to take time for us to just talk about stories of love and what that means to each of us individually and collectively. Y'all know that I have talked forever and ever about my experience with All About Love by Bell Hooks. The book, look at my book, covers off, it's all tabbed up, highlighted, because that really was a jumping point for me in expanding my definition of love. Oftentimes, when we think about love, we think about it in terms of romantic love. But if we limit ourselves in that way, then we also limit the way we see it, experience it, create it. Um, when asked, what am I here for? I believe that my purpose is one of love. I know that I was created in love. I know that love saved me, continues to save me on a daily basis. If my focus was anywhere else, I would not be who I am. I would not be where I am. If I focused on the tragedies, the trauma, the missteps, if that was my only focus, I couldn't do what I do. I couldn't be who I am, and I wouldn't experience life the way that I am experiencing it. And I believe that right now, even in this right now moment, I'm experiencing life in one of the most loving ways that I ever have. Doesn't mean that love was ever absent from my life, because it's never been absent from my life. I may not have been conscious of it, I may not have been focused on it, but now that I'm intentionally focused on love, I see it everywhere. I experience it in so many different ways. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey, good sis. How are you? Yes. And I know many of you know what that means, that love saved you. And so, if we're going to expand our definition of love, I think it's important for us to hear stories from different perspectives. Some might resonate with you, some you might be like, nah, I never experienced that. But hopefully, the more you hear about stories of love, the more you will recognize that love has been around you your entire life. Hey, love. That love has been with you all the time. Every single moment of your life, you have been touched by, guided by, held by, supported by. Love has always been present. And when we start to shift our consciousness into that, I don't have love, love doesn't love me, that's when things go left. That's when things go left. And I'm not talking about centering on love in a way that feels inauthentic. I mean, really, really expanding your definition of love so that you can see sometimes love is the boundaries that we create. Sometimes love is the word no. Sometimes sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is remove yourself from a situation. Oh, I guess I should have said before we started that I sound this way because I'm around children Monday through Friday, and those little critters, they got me with something. I don't know what it is, but I'm not claiming it. And I've been fighting it since Friday. And so if you see me pause and stop to, adjust myself, it's only because between my voice and my nose and everything else, I'm just trying to get it together. I should have said that from the beginning. Um, but love with an expanded definition doesn't always have to be rainbows and sunshine. Love can be, I walked away from that. Love could be, I no longer engage in that. Love can sound like, absolutely not, even when it looks like the best thing for you. If it's not loving, if it's not loving, then you can't participate. You can't be a part of it because why would you? And for me, love is as essential as breathing, as water, as eating. And so when I started to shift my perspective to where is love in this moment? How can I be more loving? Is love present? Then it's easier for me to make decisions and choices in my life when love is at the head of all of those choices and decisions. Not what's going to feel good in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not that instant gratification, not what's going to feel good for the next 2 weeks. Is this sustainable? Is this choice that I'm about to make loving, sustainable, and for my best, for my highest good? So today I have the pleasure of having someone that I met during the pandemic. Let me tell y'all, for all of the horrible things that happened during the pandemic, one of the gracious things that happened for me during the pandemic is that I met so many individuals online. I don't even know how it happened, how it got sparked, but I have met individuals from all over the world, had conversations that have inspired me, enlightened me, and have made me continue to be connected to them in spirit. And one of those individuals reached out to me yesterday and was like, you know what, can I jump on with you? Because I opened the invitation for anyone to come on to talk about their experience with love. And she said yes. There's my love. Hey, beloved. She said yes, and I'm so grateful that she did. Um, I call her Shy Town. So if you've ever seen any of the videos and I'm like, Shy Town's in the house, that's exactly who I'm talking about. Natasha Devine. She is a cultivator, a nurturer, a poet, and a teacher. She expresses these qualities through her community work with local park districts, resource centers, and in her new role as professor in the health sciences department at a community college. Woo woo! Hey, Natasha,
Hey, coach. Hi, everyone.
congratulations on that new role.
Thank you so much. I am,
So,
thank
so,
you. Being called
so
out, called into new levels.
yes, so I'm going to refer to you as Professor Natasha.
I gotta get used to it. Okay. Yes.
Right, you gotta wear it. You gotta
Yes.
wear it
Yes.
because, like I said earlier, you would not be in that role if that role wasn't yours. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And I know our topic is love, the power of love. And like that, this is a perfect example of that. How love, cultivating love within ourselves, allows us to expand our definitions of ourselves, expand the way we see ourselves, and step into you know our purpose in levels that we may not even quite see ourselves ready to experience, or we may not even see ourselves as that version.
Mhm.
But really, like, cultivating that self-love and having a practice of staying in awareness allows us to be present for opportunities.
Yeah. So, would you say that you loved yourself into this new role? And what
Yes.
did it look like?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, absolutely. I loved myself into this role. Um, so I have been in a period of transition and transformation, very, I'll say, intensely for the last, I'll say, 3 years of my life. And I've had some major career changes, being in a career role where I received a lot of promotion, and I was in there for over a decade. And then being called to experience myself in new ways. And so this role, in the transition period though of like having like, okay, these are the experiences I have, and now what do I do with them now that they're not I'm not using it in this way. How do I translate that now into life? And really being able to take account of all that I have been, because like I think you said earlier, these titles don't encompass all that we are, right? And so it's like, so I really like taking the essence of who I've been in that title and being able to say, you know what? And I tried some other things. Like I've tried multiple things in my transition period, just trying different ways of being that I haven't known myself before. And yes, this role I remember thinking, well, so I have a background in healthcare and medical assisting. I started my healthcare journey as a medical assistant and just moved up eventually into healthcare management, supervision, administration, those things. But I've always loved direct patient care, just being with the people. And so even like leaving that position and trying other things, other entrepreneurial type of ventures, and seeing what I was focusing on and really like that those experiences helping to bring me back to the core of my mission, what I feel fulfilled doing. And that is uh, you know, cultivating people, working with my community, being in spaces of healing. And and so now what does that look like? And I remember thinking, like just really thinking about everything and I was like writing down my qualities, so that I can affirm myself. And I remember thinking, like, I need to be teaching this. Like, if I'm gonna go back to like, I really, as a medical assistant, I found mission and purpose in work that I had not experienced before, you know? And so I was trying to, I guess, access that point, that feeling that I had then when I felt like, oh man, I may not have been making a lot of money, it was challenging, but every day I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. And so I
Mhm.
wanted to access that feeling, but going back, I even thought about in places of transition. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. So you kind of like, let me go back, let
I
me go.
know because it's familiar and it's tried
Yes,
and true.
yes, yes. Um, but even trying to go back, like at this point, my resume is overqualified me for some
Right.
things. So,
They like, what you doing here?
so even that was like, no, so it's like really spirit, like, no, baby, boo, you're gonna have to go on out there and stretch. And so I
Mm.
remember saying I would like to teach, I mean, I could teach this, and especially with this was one of the departments that I managed was a medical assistant. So I was able to see some of the changes that were happening on a educational level, with like new up and coming, new medical healthcare professionals that were coming in. And I would make comments as a supervisor, like, they're not teaching y'all stuff like they used to teach, like when I was in school. Now you don't know how to do stuff, mainly all these little things, but and more than that, I have a passion for helping people to see that you're more than this title. So you do have these job descriptors, to accomplish, but it's so much more than that, especially when you are working in connection with other human beings. It's like so much more.
Something you said that I think is so familiar to many of us. You're in transition, and for anyone that could mean I'm not working, or this money is not enough. Like I need to
Hmm.
do something, and sometimes the immediate thought is, well, let me go back to what I know because I
Yes,
know I can do this.
yes,
But it may not be what I want to do. I know it's not really where I need to be, but it's familiar.
yes,
And then, like you said,
absolutely.
you wrote down all your qualifications. You're like, wait a minute, this
Right.
not this is not who I am. So sometimes we have love looks like seeing yourself for who you are and pushing yourself into places you've never been. It's
Absolutely.
and I don't want to say it's easy to go to things that are familiar. It's not easy because in some ways it can be heartbreaking because you're like, I'm in this job that does not serve me well. I'm not doing all that I know that I can do. It's a paycheck,
Yes.
more than anything. But I know there's something greater for me.
Yes.
Even if you don't know what that
Absolutely.
is, sometimes the
Absolutely.
most loving thing is to call yourself to the carpet like you overqualified. Why
Absolutely.
are you putting yourself in a box when you were created for so much more? And it doesn't
Absolutely.
mean that love can't be scary. Love is often the scariest thing that we will ever experience,
Mm.
but trusting
Hmm.
that it'll guide you to where you need to be. So whether you were
Absolutely.
aware of it or not, there was this level of trust of I didn't work those jobs and gain all that experience and see all that I saw for nothing. There is a
Yeah,
purpose to it.
absolutely.
And for you to profoundly say, I need to be teaching this.
Hmm.
Now here
Hmm.
you are about to be teaching it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so it was love, my self-love journey that opened me up to be able to say yes. You should be teaching it. That opened me up to the communication of my higher self that's saying yes. You should be doing this. Now go look up an application. Go seek out the opportunity. Now show up for the interview. And okay, there may be certain qualifications listed, and your qualifications may not look like that, but hey, follow your guidance. And so yes, I definitely loved myself into this
Hmm.
position. And yeah, here I am,
And
embarking on a
as
new.
you're talking, I'm sitting here looking for something to write on. Like, okay, Yolanda, where are you not loving yourself into? What place has been created for you that you're not loving yourself enough into that place? I'm gonna have to contemplate that, and maybe all of us will be able to sit down, write down all of the things that we are, so that we can see how to love ourselves into a different place, if that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
If that's what
uh,
we want to do, because if you're happy with where you are, fine. Maybe this conversation isn't for you, but if you're not, if you're unhappy with where you are presently, then you have to love yourself into another position, another place,
mhm.
another experience, another consciousness, another mindset, and recognize that even in the midst of you loving yourself into that place, it's going to be scary. You might trip, you might fall, you might go backwards before you
Mhm.
go forward. All of those things might happen. Who's to say that those are not loving things? If you are participating in the act of transformation, we don't know what it's going to look like. When we talk about
Absolutely.
transition and transformation, we don't know what it's going to look like. It can look like 20 million other things. It can look like you're failing and you're actually out here winning.
Yes.
Whew.
Yes. Yes.
Gosh, I'm rethinking my whole life right now.
Yes. 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 I uh I think I was when I sent you the email, I told you that like self love is a spiritual practice. Well, I don't know if I said it that way, but this is how I like to share something real quick. And this is just a little rough board. It's not. It's just for me. Okay, so it's not a. But this is like I don't know if people can see it, but it's just a saying that says self love is a spiritual practice. I wrote it on a little whiteboard. I had some other plans with, but I had to write it because this was uh, downloaded into my spirit. This was a message from spirit during a time you just mentioned failing. Um, and I mean, I can't say, I mean, I'm still in this space of learning, of integration. And so, the spirit gave me this because I was really in a space of I was wanting to build a new practice for myself, just like I said, integrating this knowledge, the experience and the knowledge of life period that I have, from shedding parts of myself. And now what does this look like? How do I show up as this version of myself all around the board, in my career, in my personal life, and in my spiritual you know, uh, practices, and how I connect. And discipline also has been a highlight for me in my life. And that is another that's love. That is
That is
love.
very loving. Oh my goodness. talked about. I can't even remember we talked about it. As a matter of fact, I always preach and teach that discipline and punishment are two different things. Discipline is
Mm.
loving. It is saying
Yes.
there is something that I want to be or I want to experience, and I'm going to put parameters in place or boundaries in place so that thing becomes a reality. That's discipline.
Absolutely. Yes.
Punishment is something else. And so
Yes.
I think because we align the two, punishment and discipline, we think of discipline in a horrible way. But
Yeah.
we all need discipline.
Yes. Yes.
How you gonna get anywhere unless you like say these are the conditions that need to be present for me to be the thing that I say that I want to be.
Oh, I love that. That's perfect.
I was just watching a documentary about Michael Jackson off the wall. I think Spike Lee did it a couple of years ago, and everyone was talking about even when he was a child how disciplined he was. Like he
Hmm.
always wanted to be the best, and so he always asked questions when everybody else was fooling around, playing around. He's like, "No, I'm in the studio," and they're like, "What? 9-year-old little kid is in the studio trying to learn because he was disciplined."
Yes.
And it's like
Absolutely.
every single person in a documentary, they were all artists. It's like we love what we do. That's one part of it, but we're disciplined, which
Yeah.
means if you love the thing that you say you love, then you're going to create the conditions for that thing to flourish.
Yes.
And so I'm so glad you said that. Discipline
Yes.
is so loving.
Yes. Yes. I heard a saying recently. I was watching well, the saying is by, I think his name is Robert Edward Grant, but I heard it from someone I was watching. She quoted it. And the saying is destiny is the free will of the higher self.
Mm,
You know, destiny is free will of the higher self. And
nice.
so, even like now, thinking about that and what you just said about discipline and it being loving, and like how discipline allows us to align our actions with the intention of our higher self, our destiny, because I mean, I know this may not be everyone's belief, but it is mine. So I'll speak it that we are souls, we're spirits, spiritual beings, souls having human experiences. And so, it's important for us to be in this communication, with our higher selves, our guidance from spirit, so that we can so destiny is real, so that we can fulfill that,
And so,
fulfill
yeah,
our
so
purpose.
that love can guide us. Because
Yes,
how are you connected to love if you're not in your spiritual self?
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
that human self and the human definition of love is very limited. It's very
Yes.
conditional. Oh my gosh, do we want to talk about how as humans we put so many conditions on love? We think we don't. But from
Yes.
the jump, love's got to be this, got to look like this, sound like this, feel like this, got to show up with flowers and candy. And if it, all of these
Absolutely.
conditions for what we think love is, when our
Mm,
spiritual self is like, baby, that's not it. That's not it at
absolutely.
all. It's like you
Absolutely.
said, it is your connection to your higher self that is beyond what your human self could even imagine.
Yes.
But it's there
Yes.
and it's
Absolutely.
possible. And if we
Absolutely.
operated from that space of continuously asking ourselves, is this loving to me? Is
Mm,
this loving in the way I call it supernatural love? That
mm,
type of love that there are no words for, but you know it
mm-hmm,
when you feel it.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
it's everywhere. And I know for me, I can't say I'm without love. When I have those moments when I'm feeling unloved, it's like, why are you even telling that lie when it's around you every single moment of the day?
Yeah.
Anytime, I don't even have to ask for it. It just shows up.
Yes.
And I talked about this before, like these experiences that sometimes we take for granted.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
I'm watching um, this documentary about Off the Wall, and anyone who knew me back then, I'm a Michael Jackson fanatic, like
mm-hmm.
ridiculously crazy and off the
Love
wall.
it.
I had the 8 track. Okay.
Yes,
I had that
yes,
8 track.
yes,
That's how much I love that man. I remember my uncle bought me the 8 track, and I was like in heaven.
yeah.
And not. And then my beloved buys me the album, and it's like
Wow.
these kind of loving moments. If I don't acknowledge them, I'll miss him. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I'll miss the connection of how various people at various stages of my life have loved me. I can't say that
mm,
love was absent. I don't even want
mm,
that to come across my lips. I don't
yeah,
ever want to deny the power of love in my life, because if it wasn't for the power of love, I wouldn't be here.
yeah,
None of us would be. And we keep
absolutely.
lying to ourselves by saying, oh, love is not present. It may not be present in the way that you humanly want it to be present, but it's there. And it is your responsibility to acknowledge it. And like you said, cultivate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of
Hmm.
the other things that I have found, that when I start in those moments of, oh, love is not present, it's my job to cultivate it.
Yeah,
It's like, well,
absolutely.
what are you doing about it? How are you being loving? You waiting for everybody else to be loving. Are you being loving to yourself by saying these kind of things? No.
Yeah.
And it's okay that we have those moments. And what you said about spiritual practice, and I think for many of us, we don't always recognize that our spiritual practice matures as we mature. So the things you used to do may not be
Hmm.
sufficient, and you got to expand your spiritual practice. It's like
Yeah.
my spiritual practice is breathing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Absolutely.
being present in the moment, and being present in a way where I'm not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, and I'm not worried
Yeah.
about what happened 2 years ago. I'm in the moment as much as I can be, to
Yeah.
say, whoo, I'm being loved right now. I'm being loved
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely.
My
Yeah,
gosh.
you got that. Like even when that came into my awareness, it was just like, and I felt compelled to write it so I could see it out of my mind. It was in a time where I was really beating myself up for, I was negatively talking to myself. I'm better than I was, but still it's a journey to really, loving myself, right? And treating myself in a loving way. I know, people often talk about like we are reparenting ourselves in a lot of ways. And so talking to ourselves in a way that we should have been talked to before, but learning how to talk to ourselves that way now. And so that self-love. But even in that moment, I was, and see, I had committed to a practice, my own spiritual practice, and I had, a yoga practice that I was doing for a certain amount of time. And I was like, I missed a day, and like if I would miss a day or fall off or anything, I would just, you know, re affirm the negative talk to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, you're undisciplined, all these different things, it's, you need to do it this way, you gotta get, but it's like, but it's in that space that, spirit gave me that to like help me to introduce grace to myself,
I was just going to ask you. So when you've had those moments, because I know I've experienced this, when you're not doing what you said you were going to do, and then the
Yes,
negative self, does it feel like, well, this is no longer a spiritual practice. This feels like a chore or
yes,
something forced.
yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
And then I would feel bad for it feeling like a chore
For
because it's
feeling like saying
like
that about the spiritual practice, like I not only not
it's
only am I not doing the daggone thing, now I'm talking horrible about my spiritual practice, but not
absolutely.
recognizing that maybe there needed to be a shift
Yeah. Yeah.
into something different.
Yeah. Well, definitely, one thing I learned from that, from and starting over, and then learning to not beat myself up, but to just be present with myself, however I was, well, whatever it was, and if starting over was starting over, it was starting over, And so it was like, this particular practice was for 40 days, and I started over. I don't even know. I'll probably say about 9 times that I actually started over before I completed a 40-day practice of it. And I beat myself up probably to like the last two times or so. Those last two times, I really got, uh, an expanded understanding of what commitment is for me, and why, I commit to things, and for me to, and what integrity is for me, for me personally. So me having my own personal definitions, of what commitment and integrity is, not with
Mhm.
anyone else,
Right,
not like
right. I can remember there was a time when I was committed to walking on
hmm
my treadmill every day for 30 minutes. And of course, I wasn't doing it. And I was talking
hmm
to one of my spiritual mamas about it. And she said, why does it have to look like that? And I said, what do you mean? She said, why does it have to be you in the basement with ain't no windows, walking on something that you ain't going
hmm
nowhere? Why can't it be 30 minutes outside? And here I didn't have an answer for it. I was like, well, because I got a treadmill. She said lots of people got treadmills doesn't mean that it has to be that way. Why can't you see it differently? And maybe do it in a way where you will be more committed to it because it's encompassing more of who you are. Don't you like nature? I was like, well, yeah. And she's like,
hmm
so wouldn't it be more loving to yourself to commit to walking outside 30 minutes a day where you get to see the sunlight, fresh air, and all of that than being in your dark, dingy basement where you don't like to go?
uh-huh.
Why do the things that we think we have to be disciplined to have to be so harsh, have to be
Yeah.
so rigid, and have to be, a particular way for us to feel like, well, I'm not doing it if it's not done this way,
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
instead of us thinking, you know what, if it could be done in another way, then let's do it in another way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because who's
And
going to
so,
say something? Who's going to say, "Oh, you're not
absolutely.
doing it right," or "I'm doing it better than you because I'm in my basement," or who cares? This is my spiritual practice. This is
Yeah,
my physical, practice. This is something that I've created for myself. Why would I create it in a way that's not loving to me? Where I'm
absolutely.
already setting myself up for failure. It's like, all right, I'm going to
Absolutely.
join a gym and I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning and go before work. Girl, you know you ain't going to do that. Because
Yeah,
if you were
yeah.
going to do that, you would have been doing it already. So here we are. We're about to go into March. So many people started off this year with, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to take my vitamins every day, I'm going to do my smoothies every day. And here it is, March. And many of us have fallen off. Some of us
Yeah.
haven't, and that's okay. But think of it in terms where you don't beat yourself up for something you created, which nobody else put, boundaries on. You created it.
Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
did you create it in a way that was going to set you up for failure and it wasn't loving to you? It's okay to love yourself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's something we all need to write down. It is okay for me
Yes.
to be loving to myself.
Yes. No, that's
That's not
absolutely.
something that we are taught when we were younger. We're told it's got to be this way and that way. And again, that whole discipline thing where we think
Mm-hmm.
discipline has to be a punishment, and it's not. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
The discipline is I see myself in another way, and these are the conditions that are going to place me there.
Yes. Absolutely. It's that relationship, with discipline. Like really seeing it as a relationship with
Mhm.
this version of myself, and so
Right.
I have to learn like how to. We date other people when we get in relationship with other people, whether it's dating or friendship, whatever. You meet a person and you get to know them. You take the time. You give grace. You
Mhm.
do these things, and so the loving thing for way for us to see discipline is like cultivating a relationship with ourselves, with a version of ourselves that we're just meeting. And that's what discipline allows us to
Right.
do, to align with.
It's like I don't know you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
That's
know you yet. And in
exactly.
the process of figuring out who you are, I might, be off the mark some days. I might be right on target the other days, but like you said, I'm
Absolutely.
giving myself grace that I will figure it out,
Absolutely.
which is
Absolutely.
such another loving principle, grace. As a matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, all about love, start the first introduction is grace.
Mm,
It's like in all things you do, please give yourself grace that you are
mm,
just starting this out. It is new. It's not hard. It's new. And
mm-hmm.
there's this period of, I got to figure this thing out. And it might take you a very long time.
Yeah.
Heck, it took me 50 some years to figure out what love is, what it's not. I had to, be inspired by other people, read other definitions, which is why, I opened the invitation for other people to come on and talk about their experiences with love because it's not one thing. It's
Yeah.
all the things. It's
Absolutely.
all the things. And you never know how someone else's story of love may inspire you. My beloved and I, we were going to the movies, and he said to me, he said, "Do we post too much on social media about the things that we do?" And I was like,
Mm,
"Sometimes I feel like we do." I said, "But what?" And what I explained to him, I said, "What you may not understand is so many people prayed for me to be in this position."
mm.
People that I probably don't even know. It was like, I hope that lady finds somebody. But so many
Mm,
people prayed for my well being, I will say that.
mhm.
And this is a part of that. And I believe that it requires documentation and not in a way that says, look at what we're doing, but look at what is possible.
Yes. Mm.
I got about to cry. Like,
Wow.
look at what is possible
Yes.
when you
Yes.
open yourself up in ways that you may not have done before.
Mm,
And for anyone thinking, oh, it's never going to happen, and I'm not just talking about romantic love, I'm talking about anything that you believe is going
mm,
to manifest in your life.
mm.
I look at it as evidence that look at what God can do. Um, and so I'm
Yes.
grateful when people share their stories of love, and none of it is too small
Mhm.
or insignificant. My sister in law. And I try to explain that to my beloveds. Like, you don't know how many people been rooting for me,
Wow.
um, have been rooting for me, even when I wasn't rooting for myself, even when I couldn't see it as a possibility and didn't even want it to be on my radar. And so I love it when people, we got a whole lot of the other stuff. People posting about love. My
Yes.
sister, and I hope so. I hope that's what it does because I'm telling you, and we've also talked about, we only show one side.
Mm,
We haven't necessarily been showing the work.
mm.
Love takes work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. You
Mhm.
have to believe that you are not only deserving and that it's possible, but you got to be willing to do the work. And it
Mhm.
sounds like in your time of transition, you were defining what the work meant for you. So it was the
Absolutely.
spiritual practice. It was the self love is a spiritual practice. Were there
Yeah.
other things that you had to do or had to stop doing
Mhm.
as you were transitioning into this new place?
Yeah. Just thinking about self-love. And I just would like to, first of all, just say this to you, coach, because I've only, I've known you in this space for maybe a year, maybe not even 2 years, maybe a year. But I remember when I saw came across you on another channel. And Stephanie Perry, I don't know if that's okay to say, Stephanie
Yep.
Perry. And it's so interesting because I wasn't following her. Like a friend of mine sent me a link, was like, listen to this lady. And I happened to tune in to a show, that you were on, and it was just the connection, the way I the light in you. It was just the way I saw you embodying all, all these parts of who you are, the way like you did a prayer and you were just embodying your, Reiki knowledge and your spiritual, your prayer. And I could tell, I don't know your spiritual background. I don't even know that much about you, but I felt a kinship. And like I just said, with me just still just figuring out, okay, how do I show up now in this version of myself? Like seeing you showing up that way was so inspiring to me. Just light, and full and authentic. And it was just beautiful. So I started following you from there. And
And
I
can I tell you that came from a place of tragedy?
mm,
The shooting in Buffalo, New York had just happened. And
mm,
Stephanie Perry reached out to me and she said, and I hope I'm not, telling too much about Stephanie's business, but Stephanie reached out to me and she's like, I've been talking to a lot of women this week and we're all grieving, about this. Here again, we have, black people specifically targeted. What do
mhm,
we do with that? Can you come on and do a meditation? And or she said, just do you, basically do
mhm,
you.
mhm,
And I was like, that felt like a huge responsibility. And so I'm fully ready to confess one of the things that I avoid is responsibility, like especially when it feels too much. But I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And I didn't really prepare or anything. But when I thought about it, it's like something tragic has happened. Stephanie has this enormous following and she's asking you to come and be a healing agent. How do you say no to that?
yes,
How
yes,
do you not show up the way
mm,
God created you? How?
yes,
How? And so I am forever grateful to her because that connection has led to connections like with you and others. And it's like when the opportunity to love is presented, you better not say no, or
mm,
that you can't do it, or that you're not you how I was literally saying to myself, how dare you?
yeah,
Someone is asking you to be a light, and you're gonna say no. And
yeah,
even if we don't think we can, trust that. Trust that spirit will allow it to happen, and
yes,
move out the way, and just say, all
yes,
right, if you're gonna put me in this place, then I trust that you will also give me what I need to give what needs to be given.
yes, 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 coach.
That's
And
love.
that's love. And I love, like, because I saw that. And of course, I started following you. And
Now,
I remember I was, I was looking at some of your old videos, and it was like one that is coming to mind right now is you were it was a long time ago. I don't know how long you've had your channel, but you were like hula hooping, okay, on this video. And I watched that video. And again, like everything you just said, why it's important to show up, to show up as we are, because you're inspiring. But in that video, I can see now, talking about this, your process of loving yourself and how cultivating that, and showing up and cultivating that self love has opened you up to be able to say, yes, I'm being called to be light, in this space. And I'm going to show up because you've cultivated loving yourself. And yes, now that love you're experiencing, in all type of ways, by connecting with people through your honey and all those things.
it's just, and I don't think that I would have been able to connect with him if I hadn't been loving me.
Yes.
He wouldn't have
Yeah.
even, I don't think, appeared if I hadn't. And I love to tell the story that I had literally had just written a letter to God saying thank
Mm.
you and that I'm ready to receive more. And that's when he walked in. So
Mm.
I'm telling you, acknowledging love everywhere at all times as much as you can is a remedy for many of the things that are troubling us. It sounds simplistic. It's not, because it's not easy.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's easy work, because there's a lot of time. I'm an Aries, and there's a lot of times
Mhm.
I want to be on murder, murder, kill, kill,
You're
destroy.
right.
A lot of times. Like I said to my beloved yesterday, I was like, I'm angry. I don't know why. I said, you are not the cause of it, but I'm just letting you know I am not in a good mood. He's like, what's going on? I said, I don't even know. But that's how I was feeling. And I'm grateful that I have the space with him to say, it ain't nice over here. It's not you, but we have to be who we are at all times. And sometimes the lives that we are in don't allow for us to do that. Sometimes we're
Mhm.
in jobs, we're not allowed to be our true selves. Sometimes we're in relationships, we're not allowed to be our true selves. Sometimes we in family groups where we can't be our true selves. Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know what that would look like. I
Yeah.
know what it did look like for me. I don't know what that would look like for me at this stage of my life, to be in any relationship where I can't be myself.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thinking
Yes.
about it makes me makes me
Yeah.
sick to my stomach. And so, if you recognize that there are parts of you who are not living yet, because we could very well have parts of us that have yet to be birthed, that have yet to see
Mhm.
light, that have yet to come forth. You got to do something about that.
Mhm.
You got to give birth.
Absolutely.
You have to let it live. You
Absolutely.
have to let it. Oh, please
Yeah.
don't leave here, as I've heard said. Don't leave here with that magic in you. Please don't do that.
Yes. 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 Yeah. You asked me about my love journey. um, and it started that way. I remember, I'll say maybe about 10 years ago, I'm in my 40s, in my early 40s. And I'll say that, uh, I'll say about 10 years ago, I had to take accountability. I had to really take stock of my life and how it was looking, how I was feeling. We all, I mean, of course, we get caught on just the wheel, the hamster wheel, right? And we just go, go, go. But I had got to a point in my life where it was a reckoning with who I had been, you know, and who I was, and if this was who I wanted to continue to be, if this is how I want to continue to be. And I remember that process of me recognizing like how much I was living from a place of not loving myself, how many decisions I was making, the relationships, all those things that were harmful to me. And I had to take time. I had to say, you know what? I can't date anyone. I need to like just pause and just be with myself and get to know myself. And it was in that space that I remember standing in the mirror. I used to have to stand in the mirror and say, "You're beautiful. I love you. You're beautiful." And I did not believe that. I was my natural hair journey. I was covering my hair all the time, and
Mm,
I love changing my looks. Okay, I love doing that. But when it is from a place of hiding yourself, when it's from a place of insecurity, it's different. And
mm,
that's where I was. And and so I was covering myself, and I really had, it was just a whole shedding of that, where I had to literally affirm myself, stand in the mirror, look at myself, and tell myself I was beautiful in tears, everything, tell myself what I love. And that cleared me, that allowed me to be more of a vessel for more to come in. So then it's like, okay, let me experience other way. Let me date myself. Let me, give myself, let me see what's loving to me. Whatever that is, a meal or whatever it is, all the physical and non-physical ways. What is love to me? And I really had to learn how to access love inside myself,
yeah.
and then be able to fully love other people. I'm a mother and everything, but I really feel like And I love my children, I love my family, all the different roles I'm in, but it's like, it's just I had to find love within to be able to fully, really love others outside of myself, just because of what love calls us to. It's not I know they have a saying like love is, should be what they say. It doesn't hurt. Is that how it goes? Love doesn't hurt.
Love shouldn't hurt, but it does.
Yes,
And
yes,
the word that you said, I wrote it down, reckoning. Woo!
yes, yes,
You have a reckoning with yourself. It is a loving act, but boy, it don't feel good.
exactly. And so it does hurt because, it calls us to new levels to expand ourselves and how we've known ourselves, expand our, you know, and just expand how we're in relationship, expand grace with people, forgiveness. Like those are not easy
No,
things.
they're not. And it takes, the pause, like
Hmm.
pausing a lot to stop
Hmm.
and not let your human reaction take over, but to sit and say, okay, let me see this with a different perspective.
Hmm.
Everything isn't as it seems all the time. We think
Hmm.
things are one way. Oh, everything is falling apart. It's like, nah, baby, you being set up for something greater.
Hmm.
You can't see it right
Yes.
now. But if you take that perspective, the journey might be easier for you than if all you see is doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. Because if all
Mm.
you see is doom and gloom, all you're going to get is doom and gloom. But if you can shift
Absolutely.
your perspective to, nah, I'm being set up for something greater. I think I've said here before, there are times when I'm doing something. As a matter of fact, it could be something as benign as getting ready to post something and something happens. I don't try to do it two, three, 4, 5 times. I'm like, it must not need to happen. I'm all right with
Hmm.
that, and I'm gonna walk away. Or I'm trying to put a trash bag in the trash can and it's not working. This might not be the time for that. Let me walk away. I'm not fighting in
Hmm.
places in my life.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
a lot for someone who considers herself to be a fighter. I stopped
Hmm.
fighting. Like everything doesn't have to be a fight. Everything doesn't
Hmm.
have to be a trial and a tribulation. Sometimes things are designed the way they are for us to see what we need to see.
Hmm.
And so for you to say reckoning, I wrote reckoning down because I feel a reckoning in my spirit. I said earlier to my beloved, I said there's a shift happening. I don't know what I said, but something is about to shift.
Hmm. Yes.
I don't know where it's going to come from. I just know it needs to happen. It's going to happen. And I pray for all of us that,
Yes.
have it on our side well and intact. I don't
Yes.
know. But
Mm.
when you get to a place when you can see yourself clearly without
Mm.
other people's commentary, and like you said, you're a
Mhm.
mother, you're this, you are so many people, we are so many things to other people. We have
Mhm.
to be clear about who we are to ourselves.
Yes.
You cannot define for yourself who you are. How can you love yourself? It's like, what ingredients are you using? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I love when I know people know how to take care of themselves. They
Mm.
identify something is wrong. It's like, well, I'm going to do these things.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't know that until we're in the overwhelm and then we're scrambling. I got to do this. I got to do this. But there are people, I can't say that I'm one all of the time, but most of the time I can feel impending doom. And I'm like, you need to sit down. You need to take a break. You
Mhm.
need to do something else. I could be working on something and in the middle of it, it's like, I need to walk away from this. When you are taking care of yourselves,
Yeah.
taking care of yourself in that way, that's one of the most loving things you can do. Instead of
Absolutely.
waiting for other people to acknowledge you need to be taken care of,
Mhm.
waiting
Mhm.
for other people to take care of you. Now, there's nothing wrong with asking someone, I need to be hugged, I need this, I need that. But when you can recognize, I know who I am and this is not it. Like I'm out of balance and there are some things that I need to do to take care of myself.
Mhm.
That's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
absolutely.
And it sounds like that's what your reckoning was. It was like, wait, you got to get butt naked in front of yourself to see yourself.
Yes,
You can be the remedy. It's
absolutely.
not anybody else. It's us.
Mm, absolutely. I
That's
love
a
that.
pure form of love. I can love myself enough to tell myself when I'm wrong, to tell
Hmm.
when I'm not living up to my potential, to tell myself all of the things that I need to. Yeah, I love myself enough to do that. But do I love myself enough to move in another way?
Yes,
It's great to
absolutely.
identify it, but are you loving yourself enough to push into something else?
Yeah. And that's the power of love, right? Like that is the power, because it helps us shift into, yes, it helps us shift that way, even if we're not sure, even if it's, a mustard seed of faith, it
Sure.
helps
Yeah,
that versus
even if we're
just
not
staying.
sure, just
Hmm.
knowing that there's something else is
Hmm.
so wise.
Yeah, yeah,
When you can say, "This ain't it.
yeah,
This is not what I was created for." I know it. I can feel it in my bones.
yes,
And when you said, I could go back to direct care, but I should be teaching this.
yeah,
Let
yeah,
me go and see what that looks like.
yes, absolutely,
And look
absolutely.
what it looks like. It looks
I
like
know,
Professor Natasha. That's what
right?
it
I
looks like.
know. I know. Yes,
And
absolutely.
so all of the things that you experience, whether they were, like you said, the jobs weren't paying well, they did pay.
Mm-hmm.
They paid
Mm-hmm.
very well in
Mm-hmm.
experience
Yes,
that you now
absolutely.
can give to others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
individuals that you reach and teach are going to receive something in a way that they haven't, because you recognize they're not teaching it this way. They're
Mm-hmm.
not teaching these particular things, but I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. No, yeah, I love what you just said, as far as the pay and, and it's funny because during my transition, my career transition, like I was really, I had making good money, had reached a level, in my career that, uh, yeah, on the outside looked very successful. And it was successful, not to take that and see all of this is love, it's lovely. Like it was successful. It was an accumulation of work and, all those things. Um, but it wasn't fulfilling. You mean that is because I was again being called to experience new levels of myself. But I've learned though since then that, as you just said, the jobs weren't paying much, but they were giving me experience and they were helping me to um, find my mission and develop my skills, for my personal mission. And I've learned that currency. I mean, money is just a form of currency. But we have it's
Hmm.
energy, but love, that is the highest. That's the highest currency.
And the fact that you were loving what you did while you were doing it was, again, you were creating love. And the fact that you can look back on it differently now. And I've said before, sometimes we're in relationships, they end, and then we start talking about all the bad things. It's like, wait. You have to acknowledge that at some point in time, you love that person. You love
Exactly.
that job. It gave you something amazing. If you only focus on the tragic things, that's all you'll take from it.
Hmm.
But there's
Hmm.
so much more that we can take from all of the experiences that we've been
Hmm.
in. Like if I
Absolutely.
only looked at my marriage that ended in divorce as just that, I would miss all of the wonderful things that were created in the midst of that experience. If I
Absolutely.
only, thought about, well, I ain't never been fired from no job. I'm trying to think, have I been fired from? I usually quit right before if I thought they was going to fire me, I usually quit. But even those experiences where it got just so toxic, if I only focus on the toxicity, I would forget all of the things that I created and the things
Absolutely.
and the relationships that I made. And
Absolutely.
oftentimes we do that. We get out of experiences and we
Hmm.
only focus on one part of it. But if you can reach back and pull out the loving parts, if there are any, I'm not saying every past relationship has them, but if you can pull that out, it will also give you fuel that it's possible to do it again and do it differently because you learned something.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you learned something in the process.
absolutely. Absolutely. And if it wasn't, if there were situations where you look back and you can't see love in that, that's information. That's in the
Right. Just be
inside.
grateful you made
Let
it
it,
out.
but it lets you know, like, where you can love yourself.
Mhm.
Like, if when we allow ourselves to be in spaces where we're not seeing love outside, that's communication from our higher selves
Right.
about
Right.
how to love ourselves.
Right. I ain't supposed to be here.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Let me
baby, I'm gonna
listen
need
to that voice that is screaming at me, get
yeah.
out. You are not
Yes.
supposed to be here. These people don't love you. They don't care about you. You might be creating good work. And I know a lot of people who are so noble that they are in positions and experiences that they are doing, creating amazing
Mm-hmm.
experiences, but also killing themselves in the meantime. It's not loving. I don't
That's
care
right.
what it is you're doing. You could be creating something that changes humankind. If it's killing you,
Mm-hmm.
experience itself is not loving. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
You either got to figure out another way to do it,
Yeah,
you got to figure out why it's killing you. You got to do something.
absolutely. No,
So
that's
many
real.
of us were taught that that's the way it's supposed to be. Well, I'm doing good work, but you coming home, collapsing on the couch, and not moving until it's time to get back up for work.
Absolutely. You
How is
can't. That's
How is that,
right.
how is that a loving experience when you're not taking care of you?
Absolutely.
I guarantee you,
Absolutely.
if you didn't get up the next morning and you didn't go to work, they would figure it out without you.
Absolutely.
They're not going to come to resurrect you.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
might send you a card because they want to make sure that when you're coming back to work.
No, that's real. That's real,
Or they might
coach.
send you an email like, so are you dying? If you are, can you send us all the work you've done so we can give it to somebody? Like, really have to think about the places and spaces that we are in that are not loving to ourselves. And we keep hoping that other people are going to see our sacrifice and they're going
Mm-hmm.
to reward us. And they're going to, please. I just saw a woman, I don't know if it was real or not, but she posted a video. She's like, I just worked at this place for 10 years, paying into a pension, and they fired me.
Hmm.
She's like, what was all of that for? Yeah, what was all of it for?
Mm-hmm.
There may have or may not have been signs along the way that she did not regard, but I say the more you focus and pay attention to love, the more you will see where it is not.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That's
Because
right.
some of us are confusing ourselves by thinking, "Oh, they gave us a bonus. Okay,
You're right.
you deserve
You're
that."
right. Absolutely.
Bonus is not extra; it's what they should have been giving you all along.
Yeah,
It's like we
absolutely.
have to think, why am I in a place where I'm miserable? And what
Mm-hmm.
am I doing about it to transition out? We
Mm-hmm.
may not have the answer right then, right there, but identifying first, this is not the place for me.
Yeah,
And then start
absolutely.
to ask, let me see love. While I'm here, let me see love. Let me see a greater possibility. Let me see a greater vision. And I love what you did. You said, let me write down all of the things that I am,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yes,
gave you direction of where you should or could be.
that's right.
Like if I
That's
know
right.
all this stuff,
Yeah.
I could be teaching it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And a lot of what I do in this place on Sunday, I didn't want to do this. My business coach was like, "You need to go on YouTube." Blah blah blah, and I was like, "I don't want to do that." And even the hula hoop video that you were talking about, I don't even know how that happened. I think that was a day or two. Most of the
Mhm.
things that I do publicly come from dares from other people.
Mm.
I don't really care to do them. I have the now, let me tell the truth. I will have the idea, but I won't necessarily do it because I always think, no, nobody want to hear from me, or I don't have the right equipment, or this isn't right, or that isn't right. It's usually now if somebody dare me to do something, I'm an Aries, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Somebody
Absolutely.
said, I bet you can't do it. Who are you talking to? I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. That's usually my motivation. But this started so long ago through
Mm.
conversations with my mother. Like these are the types of conversations I would have with my mama when I was a
Mm.
little girl. Like, she's telling me about her life. I'm telling her about the 11 years of life that I have and the things that I've experienced.
Mm.
But she was genuinely interested in hearing it and would give commentary, not necessarily advice. She would always say, "You will see."
Mm.
She wouldn't always tell me what was going to happen. She would say, "You will see this will happen, or you will see, or you might get to witness, or you might get to experience." And I'd be like, "Yeah," just giving me inspiration and
Mm.
hope. So this has been lifelong. I never envisioned it would be this, but I also know there's something else.
Mhm. Mhm.
So our conversation, everything you said today, reckoning. I'm sitting
Yes,
here
yes.
like Natasha talking to you. You are a professor in the community college, but you've been teaching this morning because I'm like, she is talking.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you sharing this. I really feel you on, you know, maybe not wanting to show up in this way, but being called to show out, being called out to show up in this way. And even like when you sent the invitation to join you, that felt like a call out to me, because it's like, I'm being called to show up in new ways, to do things that require me to show up in ways I'm not necessarily comfortable in, even in my new role,
Mhm.
and now having to publicly speak, and teach a class and, do these things. And it's like, send an email, go join coach. There's an opportunity to do it.
And I'm
You
so
need to
glad you
train.
did.
You need to, practice this
Listen,
now, and break yourself out of the. I'm an Aries too, so I'm an Aries. So it's like if I'm feeling nerves about something, like I gotta break myself. I gotta go confront that.
we ain't no punks.
Right. I gotta go see what's up with that. Is that am I scared? Oh
Right.
no.
What, you scared? You better do that thing the whole time. Your knees are shaking, terrified, like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Listen, when I
Yeah.
saw the email, first of all, I had just taken some medicine, so I was like, "Who is this? What's going on?" I didn't even know what was going on. I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank goodness, thank goodness," because like I said to you, I had written out what I wanted to say, and I left it. I don't even know where I left it. And so then I was panicking. I'm like, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? It's like, if what you wrote is not before you, then that means the words will come. And then when I saw that you were taking the invitation, I'm like, beautiful. And I said to you, it's just going to be a conversation. And somewhere along the line, someone is going to hear something that resonates in a way that says, "Oh, you talking to me? Yes, we are talking to you. We are
Mhm.
talking to you." The most loving parts of you, not the parts that are telling you you're not enough, not the parts that are saying not me. We are talking to the most loving parts of you that are saying yes, yes, yes. I know that it's time for me to do something different, think in a different way, shift in a different way. And what did we say? Discipline is going to be the way that guides me into it. Love is going to lead you. And so I don't know that necessarily I called you. Love called you out because love will do
Mm.
that too.
Yeah,
And I'm grateful for
absolutely.
the ways that love has called me out in my life when people saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself and said, you need to do this, or challenged me to do
Mm.
something. That was love calling me forward.
Yes.
So that can be loving.
Yeah.
And when we see all things as love, sometimes a person in your life who is challenging you the most, it used to be my children. They don't challenge me as much as they used to, but it used to be my children. And I will always say that my children have been my greatest challengers because I see myself as their mom. They see me and they all see me differently, but they always I want to be my best for them. You know what I mean? We want to be our
Yes.
best for our children. And so when they ask you to do something, ask you a question, you're like, I gotta be on point.
Hmm.
These are my babies. They're coming to
Hmm.
me for information. And they don't know that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. They don't know that
Yes.
I don't have all of the answers, but they believe it.
Yes.
And so I got to be the best that I can be in this moment. And so they, my children are adults now, and so the conversations are different. I feel more like I don't want to say a peer, but I'm not giving advice as much as I used to because
Mm.
like my mother used to say, "You will see, you might experience, you will find that."
Hmm.
I want them to find their own way. But the person in your life who is the most challenging to you, you may not see it that way as it being loving, but they might be the most loving person.
Mm.
There are individuals, well, I don't want to say that. Well, there's an individual that I come in contact with, and I don't want to say we butt heads. It's not necessarily that we butt heads. There's just this energy that's of a competitive nature. I'll say,
Hmm.
and I now see it differently. It may not be their intention to call me higher, but that's how I'm gonna take it.
Hmm.
Oh, you want me to be the best version of myself? Got it.
Hmm.
Why you're challenging me? That's why you're trying to compete with me? That's the way, that's the perspective I'm going to use. You just want
Yeah.
me to be the best. And so I'm going to rise to the occasion every time. And
Yes.
every single time there's a conflict of did this happen? Did that happen? It's like, I already did it because I knew you was going to ask for it. I already complete, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'm seeing it differently. Where in the past I might have been like, I don't know who you think you're talking to. I'm not doing nothing. It's like, no, I'm
Um,
going to see it for what I want to see it for. You're challenging me to be the best version. Now, if it ever gets to a point where I'm overwhelmed, then we can have a conversation. But seeing all things through love is what got me
mm,
far. So why would I stop now?
absolutely. I was just thinking that as you were saying that, that is the power of love. That's the lens
Well, you can
it gives us.
switch anything.
Hmm.
Anything can
Hmm.
be switched.
Yes.
Somebody in your family always got something to say. It's like, oh, you want to do this? Okay. Well, I'm gonna do it in the most loving way possible.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean that
Hmm.
I'm gonna take whatever it is you're giving. I'm gonna meet you toe to toe, head to head every time, because that's
That's
how I'm
right.
loving me, and it might be loving you to see things differently.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
everything again is going to be butterflies and rainbows. That's
Hmm.
not the only definition of love. Love
Hmm.
is such a wide energy and it creates so many things.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
many things.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
just grateful to have even been considered. When I think about that,
Mm.
that the universe, the creator, God, as in my understanding, considered me worthy of receiving love blows me away.
Mm.
I
Yes.
was considered, and I'm considered
Yes.
every single day
Yes.
that I am deserving
Yes.
of love.
Yes.
And I'm out here
Absolutely.
afraid of what?
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
And I can't do what? When God
Mhm.
has me in consideration? Please.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. That's
I'm, now I'm hot again.
yes.
Because
Yes.
the thought of that, it literally blows me away. Do we know that God is considering us every single waking moment? Like we have
Mm,
not been forgotten. We have not been left out. We have not been like denied anything.
mhm.
And even when I tell myself I've never been denied anything, it's like, well, what about when you didn't get this and you did? It wasn't for you, baby.
Mm. Yes. Yes.
You didn't need it.
Mhm.
You've
Mhm.
never been denied anything. It's like, no. There's some things that I feel like I've been denied. And who's to say that if you got it, you would be who you are right now?
Absolutely.
Who's
Mm,
to say if you got into that relationship, got that job, got that house, all of the things that you think you've been denied, who's to say that you'd be the individual you are now? Now, some
mhm.
of us might be like, yeah, I'd be better. You don't know that. We
No,
don't.
you don't. No, that's absolutely.
Right. And if we stand in an energy that's unloving, then that's what we're going to see. So I'm going to stand in an energy of love that says those things that I feel that I've been denied, I'm grateful I did not receive because I
Hmm.
wouldn't be who I am in this moment. And I believe that
Absolutely.
this person, this version of me right here is amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'll have to concur to agree with that.
Thank you, Professor Natasha.
Definitely. Yes.
Oh my
Because
God.
you're
I have done nothing of what I'm supposed to do. Okay, I'm supposed to be showing that. I ain't do that.
the power of love.
The
Yes,
power of
yes.
love means that you can shift your consciousness in the way that you see things. The way that you see things. Like I literally can see all things as loving and not to fool myself
Hmm.
into thinking that everyone loves me. Although at the beginning of this year, I said that's the energy that I'm going to be on. Until someone tells me differently, I'm just going to believe that everyone loves me. That's just my
Mm.
belief. And I'm
Hmm.
going to behave in that way.
Hmm.
And it has served me well.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
served me well to believe that everyone loves me. And
Yeah.
there might be some people who can't stand my guts.
Yeah.
I don't care. Why
Yeah.
would you not want to love me? Like that's the energy we all need to be on. Like, why would you not want to love me?
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's I'm thinking about how like love, because love doesn't see perfection, so it doesn't have to be, it doesn't see perfection.
By definition,
Yes, it doesn't have to.
there is no
Hmm.
barometer for what is perfect.
Yes, yes.
There isn't.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
perfect.
so,
You're perfect. There really is no one thing that we can say, oh, she has the perfect face or he has the perfect body. We all do.
mm,
All do
mm-hmm,
in our
mm-hmm,
own unique way because that's how we were designed. If it was supposed to be any other way, it would be. We would
mm-hmm,
all be out here looking like clones of one another if we were supposed to be designed that way, but we're not. We're so uniquely different. And
mm-hmm.
that is the beauty of it. That is perfection. How
Mm-hmm.
dare we say that
Yeah.
God's creation is imperfect? How
Mm,
dare we say that? I'm not going to say
yeah. Yeah.
I can be critical about some things in my life, on my body, the way I look. That's my issue. But for me to think that I have the right to say that anyone else is not perfect by God's design, I didn't see
Right.
I didn't see your blueprints and you didn't see
That's
mine.
right. That's right. That's right.
It's my job and my responsibility to keep my eyes on my own blueprint. You keep yours on yours and let us all act accordingly.
Absolutely.
And stop trying
Absolutely.
to mold and shape every single person into some box that we think they're supposed to be in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a song that I know last week we were talking about. I was the one on here who said I listened to Kendrick Lamar in the,
Yes,
in the morning,
yes.
and then I balanced it out with some beautiful chords. So again, I am an Aries, so that's that's an energy piece sometimes. But I don't know. I'm just thinking of two songs I can recommend to your listeners and you, Coach, if you want. But the Kendrick Lamar song that is popping in my head now is called "The Crown," and it is on an album called Mr. Morale, like his latest one. So
Well, Natasha, you're hip with the kids, aren't
yeah,
you?
I mean, I'm not, I do. I have adult sons. My youngest son is 18, so they keep me hip. They keep me hip. But this is a really good song, especially we're talking about love, and I mean, it seems like everything, all the ways that love, all the things that have come up, they really start within, and within is like yourself. That's our spirit. That's God. That's our higher self. That's the self. And then it expands out in other ways. But um, yeah, so that's a song, and it's another one I'm thinking about. And this an artist. Her name is Coax Marie, and she has a song out that and it's an affirmation song, and it just says over and over, I may not be perfect, but I am divine. And like
Mm,
just listening to your definition now of love, how you are stating that you are how you see love, you see the intentional love, even if that's not the intention the other person has.
that's
This
what I
is the
want to
lens,
see.
everything gets filtered through that,
Because here's the thing:
Mhm.
if I align my thinking with yours, then you in control of me.
Absolutely.
If your intention for me is evil, not good, and then I align myself with that, now you in full control of both of us. I'm not going to
Mm,
let you do that. I'm going to see it. Now I'm not going to be a fool and just be out here letting people talk to me any kind of way. But if I intend to see it loving, then you have no control over this. Whatever you do doesn't bother me. And that's why when I see people getting upset over other people's behavior, I'm, how is that impacting you? Why are you allowing that to impact
mhm,
you? That's their
mhm,
stuff.
mhm,
You don't
mhm,
have to align with whatever they giving out. That's their
mhm,
stuff for them to heal, for them to fix. So if I show up to every, gun battle, somebody gonna get shot.
mhm.
If
That's
I don't
right.
show up, nothing happens. So
Yeah.
if I don't show up for every, negative challenge in a negative way, the only negativity is over there with you. I'm over
Mm,
here being the best version of myself.
mm. The
And at
power of
some
love.
and the power of love. And at some point, you either gonna get tired or you're gonna be like, oh, she's not to be played with. Never. Not on any day of this week am I to be played
Mhm,
with. Because if you come over here, you're gonna get love. And if that's not what you want, then hopefully you will turn the other way.
mhm,
But the
mhm,
other reason why I think that's so powerful is because sometimes people need love and they don't know how to ask for it.
mhm,
So if the only way that you've ever gotten attention, affection, or anything is in a negative way, that's going to be your way.
mhm. Absolutely. That's
And that's another thing that I resolve with myself when I see people acting nasty. I'm like, they just have never been shown love.
yeah,
Or the love that they have been shown did not absorb into their system, and therefore they're giving out this other stuff. Or they might be in pain, or something else is going on.
yeah,
But I'm gonna always meet negativity with love because it's self-preservation over here.
yeah. Yes,
And that
yes,
to me is self-love. I have to preserve myself so I can't be affected by your nastiness because people love to share their nastiness.
yes,
I
yes.
don't want any of it.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
don't want any of it.
Absolutely. 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 Yeah, no, that's really beautiful, coach. Like the fact that sometimes love is people's perception or understanding of love has come from a traumatic place, and so the people who teach us love or are supposed to be loving, yeah, they express love through trauma, and
Ugh,
so then you're right, like then we grow up and that's
thinking
how
that
you
that's the way
continue.
that you get it
Yes, yes,
by
yes.
manipulating and being sneaky and
Mm-hmm.
not being your true self
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that's what you were taught.
Mm-hmm.
And I and
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful that we are transitioning into an age, a place and time where we are seeing more people show up authentically and it gives us all permission to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thankful to you that you answered the call of love. I know you're going to be loving in your new role
Thank
and what
you.
you are going to the wisdom that you are going to impart to your students. You're about to get students, Natasha.
I know. I get myself together. Not like
Your
yeah.
students.
Absolutely.
It's going to be not just good for them, but good for the people that they come in contact with. It's like that
Mm-hmm.
ripple effect. You take
Yes.
one person loving on a bunch of other people and the effect that that has for all of us.
Mhm.
In my role, I see people first thing in the morning when they come in
Mhm.
and when they come in the afternoon to get their babies. I have to be the version of myself that is the most loving. I have to
Yes.
be because I don't know
Mhm.
what they've done out there. I don't know what's happened to them. I don't know what's going on in their lives. But this is what I do know. Over the course of the past couple of months, people feel safe enough to cry in front of me, to tell me stuff that they may not have told anyone else. And I consider that to be an honor.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
consider that to be loving. If you are willing to share with me something that is going on in your life, then you must think something of me. I
Yes.
have to think that of myself and make sure that I replicate that every single time.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And so I'm grateful for the love that we created today, the love that hopefully is going to expand into other people's lives. We are going to meditate. I know we've been kind of long. We are going to meditate um,
Yes.
because I think we need to remember how we were created. And I don't like to say who because that gives it a personality. Um,
Mhm.
how we were created. And I'm not talking about the birth story between your mama and your papa because that's nobody's business. But the story of you, of each and every single one of us, created by love. Like, again, it blows me away to think that the creator of all that
Mm.
is
Mm.
considers me every single moment of my life. Like, I'm considered, I'm a thought, and it's intentional. Me?
Mm.
Yes, me, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. So let's take some deep breaths and come into this moment where we, in this moment, are being created. This moment is being created by love.
Mm.
Knowing that love impacts everything. Let us be grateful that that impact is felt in this moment. Knowing that all things in our life experience have created and brought us to this moment, or we have the opportunity to stand in gratitude for the love we've received, the guidance we've received. And we may not have known it at that time and at that place, but it was created with and by love. Everything, even the most traumatic moments of our lives, we were surrounded by love. Love sustained us and brought us through it because surely, if love had not been present, we would have wasted away by something so damaging as loss, death, grief. Surely grief would have taken us away from this life if it had not been for love sustaining us in that moment, even in the midst of great pain. Let us be thankful, if we can, for the love that is present in this right now moment. Let us see it that way. Even if in this moment we are in the midst of a painful period in our lives, a transition, lack of clarity, uncertainty. Answers do not seem to be coming forth. Mm. Debt seems to be getting higher and higher. Illness may be ravaging our body. Sadness may be the only emotion we can connect with, whatever may be present in our life. If we take just this moment to say, thank you for sustaining me, love. Thank you for guiding me, love. And surely, as you have guided me through all of those past experiences, you will guide me through this one. It may not be today or tomorrow, but let me be certain, let me be clear that love is holding me this moment, guiding me this moment, nurturing me this moment. and creating within me a power that is beyond all power. Let me acknowledge love's presence so that I feel it in every cell of my body. Let me acknowledge love's presence so that I see it everywhere I go. Let me acknowledge love's presence so that I am creating interactions of love and peace and freedom. Let me not hide in the way that I've been hiding. Let love guide me into showing my true self, my authentic self, my loving self. Let me recognize that perhaps my definition of love needs to expand because I am expanding so that I can see all things as an opportunity to love. And if it is necessary for me to have my own reckoning, let it be in love. Let me not tear myself apart to the point where I cannot rebuild myself up, but let me slice away, slip away those things that are no longer necessary so that I can see a new version. Let me not chisel away those old things. Let me look at them, accept them, understand them, and recognize it may have been purposeful. Let me shift my consciousness in such a way that love is at the forefront and not an afterthought. That I'm not waiting for someone to love me, that I am loving myself, all of who I am. Let me not crave the acknowledgement of others, but create my own acknowledgement of how great, how wonderful, how divine I truly am. Because as an entity that was created by love, I can't be anything else. I can't move any other way. If I do, I'm out of alignment. So if I believe I was created by love, then let me be loving in all ways at all times. When I inhale and exhale, let it be loving. When I blink, let it be loving. When I move, let it be loving. Let me remind myself that I am an example of love on display at all times. Let me open up my heart in such a way that I recognize there are parts of me that I may have missed along my life's journey. There are parts of me that may not have had the opportunity to be loved. Let me have the courage to love those parts of me. Let me be brave enough to say to myself what others may have said, that you are beautiful, hmm, that you are wise, that you are stunning, that you are light, that you are just a wonderful being. And I'm glad that I know you. If others can see that, why can I not see that for myself? Let that begin with me. Because why wouldn't anyone want to love me when I was created by love? Let me be open to the possibility that that love is already in my life, and it's my responsibility to cultivate it, to nurture it, to expand it, to make sure that it is growing. Because if we open up more opportunities to love, more and more become available. Whew. Let us also be grateful for the individuals who do not think that we are difficult to love. May they truly know how much they mean to us and the parts that they play in our lives by loving us in those moments when we cannot seem to love ourselves, by being truthful to us when we need to hear the truth, and when they need to withhold adoration so that we can get ourselves together. We love those individuals and we are thankful for their presence. And let us send love to those who seem to be the hardest to love, those who do not love themselves, the challengers, the ones who seem to bring challenges to our daily lives with their comments, with their behavior, with their energy. Let us send them love. Let's recognize that their presence in our lives is purposeful for us to see who we don't want to be and for us to see what those without love can look like. These ones, these individuals or groups, because sometimes they travel in packs, they seem to make life difficult. The ones who drive slow in the left lane, we know the ones we're talking about, the ones who just seem to slow us down. Perhaps that is their purpose. They may not be aware, we may not be aware that every disruption is not for our destruction. Sometimes it's for our good. Sometimes it keeps us from walking into or going into particular things that would not be good for us. So, yes, even those who seem to create confusion in our lives serve a purpose. We love them too. As we move through this week, may our eyes, may our ears be tuned to the frequency of love. May our hearts be open to the frequency of love. And may our consciousness begin and end with the frequency of love. For those who have been created by love, you cannot be anything else. So be loving. Whew, Lord. It's so good to be in love. It really is. And I don't just mean romantic love, I mean acknowledging love's presence in your life just feels so good. Um, for those of us who find ourselves complaining a lot, but then we stop ourselves, that can also be a very loving thing. And hopefully, when that happens, you can shift into the loving commentary. You know what I mean? It's not just enough to be like, oh, I'm complaining again. It's like, let me shift the entire energy of what I just said. So sometimes it comes out as complaining first. You have to identify what it is. It's like, wait a minute, there's another way for me to see that. How can I make that more loving and shift it? And not to gaslight yourself into believing all things are good, great, and wonderful. But if you can shift your perspective, why wouldn't you want to do it? Why wouldn't you want to do it? Why wouldn't you want to expand your consciousness when you have the opportunity to do so? And like I was saying earlier, the individuals who ugh, challenge us and we always see them as an adversary, you can change that here. You may not be able to change it with them, but you can change that and flip that and say, mm-mm, I'm going to use this for my good. I'm going to
Mhm.
use this for my good. Um,
Mhm.
Everything doesn't have to be a fight. But when you're used to fighting, when you're used to surviving, you think that way. We automatically have our dukes up because we think things are coming to hurt and to harm us. Um, and I know that this the saying "love is blind." It better not be. Love sees clearly and needs to see things as they are. And I'm never going to tell someone, "Oh, just love the people who are mean to you." No, I'm
Mhm.
saying love yourself so that the
Yes.
people who are being mean to you mean nothing.
Mhm.
They don't
Mhm.
shake you. They don't shift you. They don't, like, it's almost laughable
Mhm.
and can be quite sad when you see people purposely doing things or saying things because they want to hurt you. It's like, what's the matter with you? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
going through
Mhm.
all of this effort to be mean and nasty. Really?
Mhm.
I would not want to share space with you if that's your energy. Or if you feel like I have to be mean and nasty to get my needs, to get what I need or to get. No. Yes, ma'am, Janine Jefferson. Love is 2020. Seeing all things all the time. And so I'm never going to tell someone, oh, just be loving to the people who don't love you. No, be loving to yourself so that the people who are on some other time doing some other things, it's not affecting you. Because the minute you shift into their energy, there could now you got control of both of us.
Mhm. Mhm. It's like you said, coach, like that's the power of love. Like when you love yourself, you value all that comes with it. You value your energy, your time, you
All
value
of it.
your
I love
response.
myself too much to go down that road with you. I remember having a
Mhm.
conversation with someone and I had to tell them because the conversation was getting heated. And I said, you know what? I feel like you are taking me to a place I don't want to go.
Mhm.
And that place is a low place. I don't go to low places. So you can go there by yourself. I'm going to end this conversation. And they
Mhm.
still proceeded to talk. And at that point, it was, I'm going to hang the phone up because, again, you're trying to take me someplace I don't want to go. That's kidnapping. I don't want to
Okay.
go there. And so
Mhm.
now I have to do what I always do, self preserve myself. I'm not going there with you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sister in law, would you believe that that is the one Luther song that I do not like? I can't stand it. I know I just had this conversation with my beloved. He was like, how could you not like that song? I love Luther, but I can't stand that song. I can't stand it. And it could be because my mother played it over and over and over and over. But I can't stand that song.
With your sister-in-law, when you hear that phrase, Luther
Ah,
just pops up. Power of love. You just start hearing the song.
I just had this conversation because I think it came on the radio and I was like, ugh. And he was like, "What's the matter?" It's like, "Oh, she don't like it either." Oh my god! It just didn't feel like there's no way Luther authorized singing that song. It sounded like something that a record exec said, "You got to put this on the album. It'll be a nice catchy tune kind of thing." And that to me was not Luther. Oh, I can't stand it.
Mhm.
But I get what you
Mhm.
mean. Yes, the power of love. The power of love is what did you say? The one song. That's all you can hear. Oh gosh, I wasn't even thinking about that when I put the title "Power of Love" because I hate that song so much. It is erased from my memory. I can see the album cover. I can see my mother putting that daggone thing on. Oh, she played that thing to no end. I can't stand it. I love you, sister, but I can't stand that song. But yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that when I thought about the title. But let me tell you something: the power of love will have you, whew, changing things in your life in a dramatic way where you never thought it was possible.
Mhm,
And I have
mhm,
spoken about some individuals in my life that I'm very upset with. And I've been thinking about that ever since I've said it. It's like, well, now you're accountable for it because you don't put it out on the internet, that there's people you don't like. They may not even care, which I also have to, understand. They may not even know, they may not even care. I am bothered by it. I have got to get to a place where I understand that it's not about what just happened. It's about stuff from the past and clean that up for myself. And that's what the power of love can also do. Go back
mhm,
and clean up some stuff from the past so that you have a different perspective and you can see it differently. Not that the facts change because we cannot change the facts. People did and said what they did and they said. And nobody is saying go back and make it pretty so that you can sit with Aunt Judy at Thanksgiving. Nobody's saying that everybody in your life gets a pass now because you want a path of love. What that says is love is also accountable, and if
mhm,
people are not willing to be accountable, then you know where you stand and you know what you have to do for yourself. This is an individual who does not like accountability. So I can't expect it from them, nor will I rack my brain trying to get it from them. So I'm just going to have to learn how to live with their lack of accountability and
mhm,
and be okay with myself. And so I have to I'm getting to that place where I have to resolve. It may not be resolved. Oh, girl. Please let us know where the blog is. Janine, put it in the comments because disappointment, you know what? There's a prayer about disappointment. Shall I read that before we go? This is again from Get Over It by Yana Van Zant. Natasha, do you have any parting words for us before I read this prayer about disappointment?
You don't have any parting words. I guess just what's in my mind, just following what it's just thinking about how loving it is to acknowledge our emotions. Like you just were speaking on how there are some people that you don't like. We all got people we don't like, and we all feel the range of emotion. But how loving it is to ourselves to see those emotions clearly, not just push them away, to feel
Mhm.
them, anger, hurt, all of these emotions, but to feel it, and to get the communication from it. And then we use that, that take that information, that love for ourselves to move forward in those relationships and in those dynamics. So, it's grace. Look, we talk about all many things that love is, and love is grace. It's grace for ourselves and grace for others, because we all out here just a bundle of all type of stuff.
Yeah.
Trauma, a bundle of all type of stuff
Now
that
I
has.
will say this: the individuals I'm talking about, I am giving them grace because I know some of their life history, and so their behavior isn't surprising based upon the things that I know that they have gone through in their life.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean it's not still hurtful,
Right.
but I'm becoming more understanding of why they may have operated the way that they operated. And I'm also getting to a place that a lot of that disappointment is with me, that I could have handled the situation differently I don't know if it would have had a different outcome, but I could have handled it differently. Um, but even the things that we can't necessarily repair, we can resolve. Like I can resolve in my mind if that relationship never gets repaired.
Mhm.
I've gone this long without it. I'll be okay. Listen, it hasn't kept me from loving. It hasn't kept me from breathing. It hasn't kept me from, and I don't even know if repairing the relationship is necessary
Mhm.
because it
Mhm.
may take me to a place that I don't want to go.
Mhm.
If it's going to be a lot of the same, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think a lot of it has to do with the way my parents raised me. Like, oh no, you gotta, respect your elders, and you gotta. Well, the elders was not respecting me. So what am I supposed to do
Mhm.
with that? The elders
Yeah.
were not being respectful.
Yes. Yes.
So the power of love in this circumstance is getting me to take ownership of my part in it and come to the revelation that it might not be repaired
Mhm.
and that I have to be okay with that.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right,
Mhm.
Sister Janine, this is her blog post um, about her disappointment with her siblings. That's a big one because we want the people that we grew up with. They're supposed to be if anything, they're supposed to be our built in friends for life. But then when they don't operate in the way that we would expect or think, or just logically, disappointment is huge. I, I'm disappointed in my big brother all the time because I keep thinking that he's 10 and I'm 7 and he should be still taking care of me like we kids and we both grown and got families and please. Um, so that's inner child me that's really disappointed when if I'm hurt or something he's supposed to know it and he's supposed to make me feel better. It's like, girl, grow up, y'all are grown. Y'all are grown. And the dynamics of the relationship have changed, and that's okay. We still love each other. I love that man crazily, and I know that he loves me, and that's all that matters. We create all of these stories about where people are, what they do. That man loves me. um I'm going to put it up one more time. Sister Janine has a blog post. Professor Natasha, I think you may have frozen. I'm going to take you out and then put you back in. Everyone go to disruptingcycles.com because Janine is a disruptor. She is disrupting the cycles that she's identified in her family, which is a brave, brave quest to do. So I'm going to read. Oh, Natasha dropped off. Thank you so much, Natasha, for joining me today. And let me put the invitation out to anyone who feels like they need to be challenged and step up and want to talk. Just email me so I can send you the link um, to join. Now, next week we're going to go back to talking about our emotions. We talked about identifying emotions. We talked about. I had a sticky note. I don't know where it is. But we'll go back to talking about emotions next week. All right. She said it's going to be up shortly, y'all. But go back and read the other post so that you can come up to this post. All right, my love. Mwah. Thank you so much. It's on the screen now, tea time. Oh, I'm so excited. It's very easy. My first name, last name at gmail.com. Yolanda Toole, YOLANDATOOLE at gmail.com. Just email me. I'll send you the link. And that way we can jump on. And it doesn't have to be two of us. It could be three of us, four of us, five of us. I say whatever the universe creates is exactly what we should do. I'm going to read from Get Over It by my spiritual mama, Ian Van Zant. This is a prayer and affirmation to neutralize, heal, and eliminate disappointment and discouragement, which is a very loving thing to do. Precious Lord of the universe, your love is lifting me from my yesterday into my right now. Your love is lifting me from fear and doubt into a blessed assurance. Your love is lifting me from guilt and shame into forgiveness and compassion. Your love is lifting me from heartbreak into profound love and laughter. Your love is lifting me from sorrow and pain into joy and happiness. Your love is lifting me from lack and limitation into abundant thinking and prosperous opportunities. Your love is lifting me from self imposed limitations into infinite possibilities. Your love is lifting me from complaining and resistance into gratitude and surrender. Your love is lifting me from overwhelm into grace. Your love is lifting me out of my story into my power. Your love is lifting me out of the shadows into the light of my greatness. Your love is lifting me out of inauthenticity into truth and alignment. Your love is lifting me out of the self I've created into my divine and authentic identity. Your love is lifting me out of victimhood into self value and a renewed sense of worth. Your love has already lifted me out of the valley of human despair onto the mountaintop of your love. Your love is with me and in me as it continues to lift me higher. For this and for much more, I am so grateful. Thank you. Amen and Ashe. And the affirmation, I shall not be disappointed. I am lifted above all self imposed limitations by the love of God, which fills my heart. And this prayer is certainly in alignment with what we discussed today about the power of love shifting you from one consciousness to another. And so, for me and for a lot of us, disappointment has you in one consciousness. Take a look at where that is, what that is, why that is, and then see where you can shift it into something else. I'm so grateful for your presence today. I'm grateful for your presence always. We got through it. We got through it. Here I thought I was going to be all, oh my gosh, I love you too, beloved. You coming to see me? Oh my God, I'm so excited. All right, tea time. So we're going to see tea time beauty is going to be on. We'll get that all together. Bless you. Bless you for thinking that. Listen, I think that's true for most of us that we were already in the role that now we find ourselves in. I love that. Thank you. It absolutely was a powerful prayer. And I love each and every single one of you. Sister in law, I hope I get to see your face soon. I love y'all. Next week, we'll go back to talking about our emotional reality so that we can get to our spiritual reality. And certainly, a lot of what we talked about with Natasha, I love her quote that she wrote. Self-love is a spiritual practice. For those of you who don't think, oh, I don't really have a spiritual practice, you do. If you are existing, you are focusing your energy somewhere. Get very intentional about it when you are creating and crafting and cultivating a spiritual practice, and you will feel better. But make sure it got some discipline in there, some discipline and some focus. Um, I miss and love you. We haven't had a 6 a.m. in the morning chit chat in a long time. And I think we are well overdue for that. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to, yes, self love is a spiritual practice. Don't forget to go check out Janine's blog where she talks about her experience with disappointment. Where is the? I just saw it. Oh, here we go. That's the website, disruptingcycles.com. I don't know if it's going to be next week. It could be next week, tea time, where we will get to talk about emotions. And I'd love to hear your perspective on all things. I love you guys. That's my email address. If you ever want to join me some Sunday, just send me an email and I'll send you the link and we'll make it happen. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. I love me. I love you. I love us. For the rest of this week, please be more loving. Look for love in all places.